The following is rated S for spoilers.
Going to autopilot.
Place of business. You can't then deduct it if it's an off.
Good. They don't know you and I are in this universe yet, so hopefully I'll have some time to explain. I'm not your husband, and he's not the one you know. I'm another version of him from another life path, another universe. I'm here because we need your help.
Very busy today. No time to help you.
Hello and welcome to the Popcorn Hangover. My name is Alex.
My name is Graham.
Today we're going to be discussing Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. What a crazy movie. And we're going to be discussing how the fact that we got this movie is kind of surprising because it's so inaccessible and there's a lot of risks in it. And I feel like we're not going to get many movies like this.
No.
Graham, how you doing this week?
Doing good, man. Doing good. How are you?
Not too bad. I can't complain.
Good.
My brain's a little all over the place after
Dude,
seeing
I'm
this.
gone. I'm gone.
So we had to drive like half an hour to go to find a theater showing it, and the entire way back, you were just like, we didn't even talk about the movie really. He was like, Graham was just saying,
I would
like,
sit there and like,
oh my gosh,
and nothing.
What
just,
what just happened?
Just nothing was coming
words.
out. I'm still in that. Like it was, dude. It
was. It's a lot. It was everything.
It was
everywhere, all at once. The title was very fitting.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, so it had an initial release date of March 30th, 2022, directed by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Schweinart, which they go by the name Daniels,
Nice.
Which is kind of
dope. Yeah, that's smart.
I feel like you got to take advantage of something like that.
Yeah.
The starring Michelle Yeoh, Stephanie Sue, Kiwa, I'm going to mispronounce his name. In every interview I've seen, they just call him Key. So I'm going to call him Key. Fun fact about him, this is his first role in almost 3 decades.
Really?
And we'll talk about it a little bit later, but he played Short Stack in Indiana Jones Temple of Doom, and he was also in the Goonies. And that's it. And also has Jamie Lee Curtis as Deirdre.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah, so what were your thoughts on this movie? Like, this is going to be hard to like have any sort of like format or stay on track because this whole movie is just all over the place. But like, what were your overall opinions?
It was honestly, it was fun. It was just funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like anyone could truly go, probably not anyone, because there were some jokes and themes that probably wouldn't be handled well by some people.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was it was good. It was really, really good. Completely like original.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't feel, it was just, yeah. Like you said, this is something I wish everyone would get a chance to watch, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be. And man, it was good.
Yeah.
I just don't even know what to say. It was just, dude.
Yeah. So this was my second time seeing it, and I will say it was much better seeing it like with the crowd. First time I saw it was like a Thursday, like afternoon at like 2:00.
Yeah.
So it was me and just a couple old people. And like there were definitely some laughs and things, but like I knew what was coming. I knew all the punchlines, and I was still like crying from laughing so hard. Like the whole movie was just, as soon as you think this can't get any crazier, somehow it finds a way to top itself. Like just throughout the entire thing, like it just keeps going further and further and further. Like
there are points where you think you know what they're gonna do next, and dude, are you wrong? Like there were some like little subtle things too, and I was like, oh, like I bet he's gonna do that. It's like that just literally makes sense. Like what else would you do? No, dude, complete opposite. Like
and it makes like what they did like makes sense. Like
it's not like it's incorrect by any means. It's just.
I think like one of the most impressive parts about this movie, there are a lot of very impressive things that they did. But like the multiverse can be a pretty complex topic.
Yeah.
Especially like in the sense that it's not just that they were jumping from universe to universe, but they were like accessing like powers and emotions and memories.
Borrowing, right.
Right. Like they made the multiverse as complicated as they could, yet they explained it so beautifully and elegantly. I wasn't lost. And the only times like I was confused or didn't know what's going on was because I wasn't supposed to. Right. And they were like, they would reveal the
It would make
pull the
sense
curtain
down the
back, and then
line. Right.
and then they would reveal like what was going on. Like it was just the script by Daniels was just brilliant, and the thing that's crazy about it, as I was looking, I was doing some research on these directors because I'd never heard of them before. They've only done one other feature film, and that was 2016's Swiss Army Man. Did you see that?
That wasn't the one with Daniel Radcliffe.
It is the one with Daniel. Yeah, where he's like a dead guy. Yeah,
he's a dead guy.
Yeah, I thought that was the plot. I haven't seen it.
Oh, I just thought I didn't know if he was dead or not. I remember like seeing a trailer, and it was just like imagine a Swiss Army knife, where you have like all your little multi tools. That was just him, bro.
Yeah, I'm
like,
pretty sure. Like
if you just
I'm
needed
pretty
like
sure
a
he's
saw,
supposed to be
I think
dead.
his arm just like turns into a saw.
I don't know. I need to watch it now
hands,
because these guys did amazing, and I feel like
that movie. And to be fair, I haven't seen it, but I remember that trailer. I feel like that movie and this movie just fall very much in line with like you go into it expecting something and you come out not understanding anything of what you watched. And again, I could be wrong because I haven't seen that movie, but watching that trailer, I feel the same.
I think the thing that that got this project greenlit was they did another project called Possibilia. Have you heard about this?
I have not. No.
So it is a short film, and it's a super. I have no idea how someone can come up with this idea, but it's a breakup. Okay. But you're watching it through the perspective of the multiverse. So when you first start it, you hit play, and there's this couple, they're sitting at a table and they're talking, and then the girl says, "I need to go," and then at the bottom of the screen, it splits off into two, and it says either you can click the box or the arrow to switch perspectives. And so in one perspective, she's walking out the door, and the other, she doesn't walk out the door. And then as it goes through, it just continues developing new perspectives that you can watch. So it's like a choose your own adventure. And then like when you get to the end,
that's dope.
It's kind of like a TikTok loop where like it naturally like loops back to them sitting at the table and having a discussion. So then you can start all over again and like play it from different perspectives. And like as I was watching it the second time, like I there were so many moments where like conversations, the way they shot it was very, very similar. We couldn't choose your own adventure, but like,
right.
And like the way the script was written was like you would go to like select a new perspective, and you would see like a loading bar, so it would only switch at certain points, and the words they were using were carrying on. So they would say like, "I'm gonna like I know why I can't leave," and then you switch perspectives, and it'd say, "I can't leave because XYZ," or like every time you switch perspectives, like it was still a coherent story.
Shoot.
And like as you were watching it, you could see the other perspectives in the background. So like it was.
That sounds so true.
It was mind blowing, but like they took that and then they made this.
Man.
I think from a technical aspect, I mean, I'm sure I've said this before and I'll say it a million more times, but like I feel like you need to define like how you define like what makes a good movie. Some people just think, if it makes me laugh, it's good or whatever. But for me, I define a good movie as something that uses all the aspects of filmmaking to tell the story the best way they possibly can. Right. So acting, directing, writing, editing, score, and like all of it, using all of those aspects to tell the story. And that's why I think this is one of the greatest movies of all time, because all those aspects are exhibited just beautifully. Like we've talked about the directing, the script was amazing, the cinematography, like just the opening shot where it's just zooming in on a mirror, and then in one multiverse everyone's happy, and then it's a snap and like it switches, and even that whole first scene, like you're seeing different people through this one mirror as they're talking. It was just beautifully shot and framed, and the editing was phenomenal, incredible. Like the way they were switching, the aspect ratio changes when they would go to different universes. This back to cinematography, like some of the shots, you have to think like when you're making a movie or TV show or whatever, like the very first thing that the DOP is looking at is what is the look of the movie? Like what is this going to look like? What colors are we going to use? But for every single multiverse, it had a completely different look and a completely different feel
to it. Right.
Like I cannot imagine the notes that these guys like had, like trying to figure out like
books. His books worth.
But yes, like how do you keep track of all of this? Like it was mind blowing, and the score was incredible. Like musically, it would switch every time, and like it did a really good job at like making me feel eerie. And
I was just about That's what I was gonna say. Is it's just like in like scenes that wouldn't even like need it, just had it, but it worked well because it made sense later and like
right. Or also the use of not using the music too was like just like whenever Evelyn and Joy, like Evelyn first realizes that Joy is Topu Tapaki.
Yeah, something like that.
I may have said it wrong. I'm like Evelyn. I say it a million different ways. But like when he first realizes that, and she's like, "Wait, are you like the Joy that's gay?" And like the music stops, and she's like, "Seriously, you're still hung up on that?" Like, like just it was so. I feel like when people have asked me, like, I tell people they see this, like, oh, like what is that? What is it about? I haven't heard about it. Like, the best way I've been able to explain it is it's like the Matrix. If instead of computers, it was about the multiverse, and it was a self-aware action comedy drama, sci-fi, fantasy, adventure,
or
thriller,
every genre,
every genre about like family and like depression. Like,
dude, yeah. I mean that this movie, that was one thing. It hit so deep and hard on so many levels that are just like not even related, and it just like threw that in there, and I was like, and I mean, yeah,
I think that's one of the brilliant things about the script was like the whole first half is just. It's this action comedy thing, and like it's nonstop. Like the very first couple scenes, like before like they go to the IRS, like showing her life. Like the first time I saw this movie, like my heart was racing. Like I was anxious. Like just seeing like
oh my gosh, everything in the like laundromat too and stuff at the beginning. I was so stressed. I was sitting there. I was like, I really hope this isn't the whole movie. Like how it is. I was like, dude, it was ridiculous.
The fact that like. Again, through all these aspects of filmmaking, they were able to make me feel exactly the way Evelyn was feeling in that moment. Like that should be the goal of every movie.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what I was talking about. There's just so much that I can't keep my mind straight.
Yeah. This is exactly like how that movie felt. Dude, if you get up and go to the bathroom during this movie, it's gone.
You're screwed.
You're coming back to a totally different movie, and two, you're going to feel like you wasted your money because you're not going to understand anything that happened. Like I was scared to leave. I didn't leave. I couldn't imagine leaving. Like you're not going to come back to the same movie you were watching. Even if it was like 30 seconds that you missed. No.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for saying that because now I remember what I was talking about.
There you go, dude.
We got this. We're on a roll here. But like, so the thing that was brilliant about the script is like, you have this crazy nonstop just stuff happening. And then right as that hits its climax, like it even says like at the end. And I remember you looked at me like,
oh my gosh,
wait, is this actually the end? And like there are people like around who are like looking around like, wait, is that actually how it ends?
Yeah.
And then it's a total tone shift.
Completely
and it becomes,
different.
I mean, it's still like super fast, but it's just everything comes to a complete stop.
Which and they did really good too because like during that, like the way they split this off, the movie is kind of split into 3 parts because like at the beginning it's like
not
everything.
Kind of it is.
It's like everything and then everywhere and then all at once, and it does really good because at the very beginning you're stressed out, you're running, it's nonstop, you're dealing with everything, and then when it hits part 2, like when it's like the end, but like I thought the movie was over. I know it takes a completely different shift. Part 2 comes around, now you're dealing with everything or everywhere, and dude, it was just, I mean, it was
and so I mean it's the term that is used for like comedy stuff, it's called disarming the audience, where it's where you're setting them up and you're making them expect something else. Like, when movies, like the way it works a lot is like you make them laugh and stuff like that, because then they just, the way your brain works is you become more open and you're not thinking about what's coming next. And then it hits you like with all these dark themes about what is the meaning of life? Like, what is my role in this never ending universe? Like I'm a speck. Like, it hits you like a very large bag of bricks. Dude. And like, it just,
or a fanny pack of rocks.
Or a fanny pack of rocks.
Yeah.
But like, it goes from this exciting action film to this super deep and like philosophical commentary on like the human experience.
Yeah.
Which is like how
it's nothing I ever would have thought I needed, but honestly glad I experienced.
Yeah, like so many like reviews that I've seen for this movie have been something along the lines of like, anytime you walk, like you walk into the theater one way, and when you leave, you are a different person, because just like it's so relatable and the way they pull this off was brilliant. And like, the reviews are incredible. Rotten Tomatoes critic score is at 97%, audience score of 92, IMDb gave it an 8.9, Metacritic gave it an 82.
Wild.
It's got incredible reviews.
Yeah.
But despite that, I feel like this is a movie that not a lot of people are going to see.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think that's kind of I don't want to say it's by design, but I think that's just how the cards are being dealt. It was given a budget of $25 million. So far, it's made about $20 million.
It's not bad. It's only been, what, a month? Not even a month?
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, it had a festival circuit run. So
Right.
the way that this has been releasing is really strange. It did a festival circuit, did well, and they did a limited release in a few cities, and then they did a wider release, and then the next week they did a wider release. Like, it just came out in small waves, and so like its box office score is kind of messed up. And I think that it's the way that they've done the release strategy is helping it because it's getting incredible reviews and people are seeing that.
Right.
When I first saw the trailer for this, I was intrigued, but I don't know. A24 movies can be pretty hit or miss.
For sure.
Just it's independent, and even some of the trailers beforehand were A24 films, and they just like looked meh and weird. Speaking of which, I think we need to take a segue.
Oh my gosh, dude!
Into a segment that I think we need. I think it's something that I think we need to turn into a regular segment because this is the third time that this has happened. It's time for Alex's snobby movie theater reviews. We need to come up with a theme song for it.
Yeah.
So we saw this. This was a theater I've never been to before. And let me tell you, look, I understand that this theater chain struggled a lot during the pandemic.
Very much.
I don't want to call them out in case people do like them, but like first off, the theater was like disgusting. Like we were walking like,
bro, my shoes I could have slipped out of my shoes easily.
I need to like be moving. And so like, I like tap my foot a lot and I could not do that because my shoe was sticking to the floor. And the seats, like I'm a small person. I felt like I was like crammed in the seat. Like,
bro, it was tight.
It was so tight. The heat was on and it was like 90 degrees today.
Yeah.
It was so hot in that building.
I brought a hoodie and I was like, oh, I'll use this. Dude, no.
I wanted to take clothes off because I was sweating so bad. That sounded so wrong. I should not have said that. But like, and then we sit there. Tickets were a little more expensive than I'm used to, but whatever. Mm-hmm. And then the movie started at 7:10. And so we got there a little early. And I was wondering why a lot of people were showing up late. And I guess it's because they go to the theater often. But there were 20 minutes of pre-roll ads and trailers.
It was longer.
It was. I mean,
it was horrible.
It was so freaking long. Like, I get that you need to make some money back, but like, dude, it's.
And like every trailer too was like, that's it for now. Enjoy the movie. Go get your popcorn. Go get your drinks.
Time for another trailer.
4 more trailers. Enjoy your movie. I'm like, dude, like, can we? Are we going to?
I would love to watch this movie that I paid a bunch of money for. It was worth it in the end.
Oh, for sure.
But
like if I had to go sit through that experience again to see this, I would easily. I probably will, but dude, I've never experienced that. Like,
yeah, it was not a very fun movie theater experience. No. But speaking of the movie theater experience, there's another interesting thing that happened in our theater. There was a moment in the movie where the part of the idea was to access the memories and abilities of the other universes. You have to do something that is statistically impossible.
You just wouldn't do on the normal.
Right. And so one of the gags was that these IRS like Employee of the Month trophies look like butt plugs. And so one of the things that these people had to do was they had to shove it up their butt to access their kung fu abilities.
That was the weird tick.
Because that was the statistically impossible thing they had to do. And there were and it's full on just like they held nothing back when it came to like the ridiculousness and like just like honoring like what these like these Asian like kung fu movies are. And so it was way out there and just fun and ridiculous. But this was not a movie for everybody. No. And there were a group of maybe like 4 or 5 like older people that got up in the middle of this movie and walked out, and they did not come back.
That's what I'm saying. It's not going to be a movie for everyone. It is
not for everybody.
There are certain things,
unfortunately, and so I think that's something I want to talk about. Is like the point of this movie is extremely relatable. I think it's really important. Like, you know, dealing with the directors were saying that, like, you know, when they were trying to come up with this movie, they thought like, we need a bad guy, and they were like, we need like, who's the hero of this story going to be? And they said, well, if it's our parents, and like the bad guy is like us. Like, this is a very relatable like family film, and you know, just dealing with who you are, and like there are people who aren't going to see it just because it's out there. And I'm not going to say, I mean, I get it. Like, not everything needs to be for everybody.
Right.
Like, I don't go watch rom-coms. That's not my thing. I don't care for
That's
it.
all I go see. No, I'm just kidding.
You're kicked off the podcast. Or like country music. I don't like, I can't stand country music, but a lot of people don't like my music, and that's fine. But I think part of the issue, like, I think one of the reasons why it's not going to be seen by a lot of people is because it's not this factory made movie. Like, this is not, like, the only way I can think to express what I'm trying to say is like, it's not a very accessible film, both physically with the fact that, I mean, it's had a very slow release, and even then it's not even like, we had to drive 30 minutes to go see this movie.
It's not even local, like too local.
Right. Like we get a lot of good movies, but like this week I saw our theater was releasing 3 new movies. It's not very accessible physically, but also like just the idea, like the fact that this is so out there is a major turnoff to a lot of people. Right. It's not a Marvel movie.
No. And people, I feel like a lot of people need that, like, not validation necessarily, but they see it's a Marvel film. Okay, good. Like, they see, like, you just have a name behind it, a well-known name, like that just helps it do better.
Like every single Rock movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
If Dwayne Johnson's in it, I immediately know this is going to be bad, but I guess Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
What is there a Dwayne Johnson movie that you like?
No, I've never seen Fast and Furious. He's in that, right? I think he's in those.
I've actually never seen the Fast and Furious.
Never seen those.
That's on my list of things I need to watch. But also at this point, it's one of those things where I'm kind of like, I don't know, is it trendy to not like it? Like, am I cool because I've never seen that before?
Well, see, part of me, I always see the Rock movies, and this is like definitely off topic for a second. But like recently, I saw like, what was he was in Jumanji. I saw that one, like the newer
Jumanji
ones.
was good.
I see those 2, and what was he in? The Netflix one, Red Notice. And I saw that.
That's one of those where I saw that Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot, and I said, yep, that is not going to be a movie that I like.
I kind of like that movie.
I've actually heard positive things about Red Notice,
but like his acting and the way it was, like I just see it. And I watch these movies and I'm like, okay, he's on his decline of acting. He's gonna probably go start doing other things, which he has. Like he does his. I mean, he's jacked. He used to do wrestling. He's like acting.
He can do literally anything.
Exactly. So that's kind of how I feel. But then I'm also like, well, he's been doing this for a while. Like he probably should be getting better over time. I've again never seen any of the old stuff. So like I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I don't. If I see him in a movie, I'm like, yeah, that's. I mean, they got The Rock, but also a part of me is just like. Got The Rock. Yeah.
It's.
But anything with Ryan Reynolds in it, it's my boy.
Just the plot in general is not, even though it is about the multiverse, which pop culture seems to be obsessed with right now.
I wonder why.
I think Marvel has a bit to do with it. Although I think even like Marvel was kind of, I think one of the things that's brilliant about Marvel is that they're kind of like, they are very early adopters. Like Feige and the people involved that, like, they're really good at like figuring out like where things are going to go. And I think they really help push things in that direction. But even they, I think the multiverse trend was kind of starting a little bit before that. But like, so, and just in terms of like, you know, it's about the multiverse that's very popular right now. And like, it's still a turnoff. I mean, when you look at the actors, Michelle Yeoh is a massive actor in like the 2000s, and then like Hollywood just kind of forgot about her until recently. And now, I mean, she did fantastic in this movie. Like, just being completely and utterly confused, and like she felt so believable. One of the things I thought was super interesting, there's a scene in the movie where they are, it's like towards the beginning when she's like first figuring out like the whole verse jumping thing. And she hops into, she accidentally jumps back to the universe she's from, where like she's talking about the divorce, and she's confused for a minute, like, whoa, like where am I? What happened?
Right.
I didn't realize this, but the movie, COVID shut them down with 1 day left of shooting, so they had to shut down production. That was the one scene they had left to shoot, and so they were able to get a key on set, like in a van, and they shot that, and then Michelle was like in another country. And just on a green screen, they just hired some freelancers that came in, like she shot her stuff independently just by herself. And then there's a moment where like, where Jamie Lee Curtis's character Deidre like grabs the door and it transitions into the next scene. That was actually one of the directors, because Jamie Lee Curtis wasn't there. Like he just had to like look in the monitor and like try to like imagine, he had to try to imagine that Michelle Yeoh was sitting in the passenger seat and like, okay, where do I need to put my hand so I can like grab her shoulder? And yeah, it was crazy.
Which I thought that transition was actually done really well. There were so many of those where
they
it's
were
like
beautiful
being
transitions.
pulled back from one reality to the next, or not reality, but universe or multiverse, or like whenever they jump and stuff. Like it was done. The transitions were so good.
Yeah,
like it's crazy. And even dealing with that, like going through that and still coming out with something that was like, I would have never guessed.
Yeah,
at all.
Yeah, it was brilliant. And like, I don't know, like she did a fantastic job. Stephanie Sue. I mean, I feel like
is that Joy?
Yes.
Cool.
I feel like this is, I don't want to call it a breakout role, but in terms of movies, like I think she's more known for her TV roles. Like I know her from Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Dude.
Yes.
Whoa.
Like
that's crazy.
She's in a lot of like these smaller TV type roles, and she knocked it out of the park in this movie.
Oh
like,
my gosh, she was awesome.
Oh my gosh,
she was dope.
She was incredible, and like the juxtaposition of like in like let's call it like the main universe that we start in,
right? Like
how she is just lost and depressed, and then how when we're seeing Topu Tupaki, the Topu Tupaki version of her, can't be any more confident.
Jobu Tupaki.
Jobu Tupaki?
Jobu.
Yeah, that's what I said the first time, right?
I think you said Tobu.
No.
Tobu Tupaki.
I don't know. Whatever.
JT.
It's a weird name, which that's the one gripe I have with this movie is I wish they explained where the hell that name came from.
Yeah, because it doesn't have like any like.
There's no like
overall. Some dude was just like, that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
it's like been like, yo, Joy went off the deep end, but they're like, nah, she turned it into like.
Maybe it's like
a
Mandarin word or something that I don't.
That's what I was thinking, like some like
know.
old like myth, like some character, some like demon style.
I don't know.
Like,
maybe it's something that I'm an American. I'm ignorant to other cultures.
Yikes.
But like she like just the way she was completely crazy in this movie.
Yeah.
And like, but was also able to switch it and be like personal and emotional. And like, I felt bad. Like I related to the like, way she was feeling. Like,
yeah,
she knocked out of the park. I really hope that like Hollywood sees this and
puts her in a little more,
cast her more. Same thing for Michelle Yeoh. Jamie Lee Curtis was Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
I mean, enough said.
Awesome.
Like she gave everything to this role. She did like a lot of her own, every stunt that she could do, like she did. And like, I think the thing that was
thrown around, man.
Yeah. Like I think the interesting thing about her character in this movie was they used her to kind of help to subtly explain like what this universe was about. Like whatever Deirdre's like character was doing, like that's what that was about. Whether it be where she's the cranky IRS lady or the beefed up sumo fighter or the hot dog love interest. Yeah.
Oh
like they used her character so brilliantly, and like Jamie Lee Curtis was able to like to play, like she arguably plays one of the most important roles just in helping very quickly to establish what this universe is about.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why it's so seamless. Like there's no confusion, was because they did things like that. Like they left enough continuity in between each of these universes to where we could grab onto that and quickly figure out here's a difference with this one character.
Right.
That's what this universe is about. And I thought that was a brilliant way of maintaining continuity in a movie that had just by its nature can't have any continuity. Right. Which I was brilliant. But standout for me was Ki Wei Kwan. It's been 30 years since he's acted. Like,
which is nuts.
Yes. I saw something with him, and they were saying that, you know, he's a perfectionist, and he wanted to do the best he possibly could. And so he hired an acting coach, a dialogue coach, and a body, what am I thinking of? Like body
stunt double? Body double?
No, like a body language coach.
Oh, dope. I didn't know those things.
Like all three of them would like be on set with him all the time. Like he prepared harder than anyone for this role. And to be honest, I think he has the hardest role in this movie. Like,
yeah,
like the flick of a switch, he has to switch from being this badass alpha Waymond to this bumbling idiot who doesn't know what's going on.
Tiny little shrill of a man.
Yeah, and so his body language coach, I guess, like he was reading the script and said, "Okay, here's what we're gonna do." So like there are three different versions of Waymond in this movie. There's alpha Waymond, and he's think of him like an eagle.
Yeah,
he's like this big, grand, like he knows what he's doing. He's confident. And then you have like normal Waymond, and he's like a squirrel. He's always like, you know, he looks around like he's jumpy and like doesn't know what's going on.
Right.
And then you have like the businessman Waymond from the universe where he was like super successful.
Oh yeah.
That one's like a fox. And so what his coach would tell him to do was, whether he was on set or whether he was at home, like he had to act like one of those animals with everything that he did. So like if they were getting ready to shoot a scene with like the squirrel Waymond, he would walk around like a squirrel, and he would like have his hands up, and he'd go eat food, and like he'd eat food like a squirrel. And like, I don't want to say it was method acting, but like he took the extra step to like make sure that this would work.
He was able to, yeah.
And I mean, he did great. Sold. Like,
and you could even tell too, like when it switched, like he was up straight, he was shoulders back.
It was very clear.
Yeah, and then it switches back, and he's just like, oh shoot, where am I? Like, yeah,
and they try to give a little help with like the glasses, but like,
yeah, like some Clark Kent, like he's just like, just takes them off, put them in his pocket.
Yeah, like
totally different. I'm like, what?
Are the glasses like fake? Or are they just like a fashion statement? Like, why does his eyesight automatically like change?
Especially when he would like switch to, and like normal Waymond would come out, and he'd be like. You like put him back on. I literally have a pocket here. I'm looking on this. It's fine. But he would like put him back on, and they'd like go about his life. And I was like, "What? So you need him, but you don't like." Which I guess it's different universes.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is you just have to acknowledge. Like, this is a very self-aware movie. It's one of those things I think you just have to acknowledge the fact that like they're just trying to distinguish and make an obvious distinction between the two. But I think even without them, I think he did fantastic on his own.
For sure, he was great.
Yeah, he was a standout. And his story is kind of sad because, you know, people obviously ask him, like, I mean, you did Temple of Doom, you did Goonies. The Goonies is like one of the most iconic films of all time.
Never seen it.
I feel sorry for you. But like how do you, when you're a young actor like that, how do you just quit? And he was like, I didn't want to quit. He's like, I've always wanted to act. I obviously still want to act. Yeah. He's like, but there just aren't opportunities for Asian actors other than playing like, I don't know, member of like the mafia, or like they're always like awful like stereotypes. Like there aren't opportunities for him. So
it's not like a main lead or something.
So he took behind the camera roles, like producing and stuff like that, which is terrible. And then he saw Crazy Rich Asians and was like,
was he in that?
No.
Okay.
I think he said he saw it like 5 or 6 times, like in theaters.
And was it Michelle?
Yeah. Michelle Yeoh was in Crazy Rich Asians, and he was like, man, like, I want to be a part of that. And then he saw the script, and he had to jump on it. And
definitely,
I think this is another reason why, unfortunately, this is another reason why I think this is inaccessible, is like, it's an Asian led cast. Everything about it is extremely Asian, with, you know, the Kung Fu and martial arts. And there were lots of, like Asian calligraphy, and unfortunately, like that's a turnoff for some people. Which is, you know, whatever. Like we said, like Joe Butapaki could be a reference that we don't get because we're ignorant Americans. Like, it's that in itself is like, I mean, that shouldn't be a reason why people aren't seeing this movie or why people are immediately pushing it off. And I think in general, I think Hollywood is doing a better job of pushing us towards like more diverse movies with like In the Heights and Encanto and you know, things like that where like Crazy Rich Asians, we are getting more of these like cultural films that are about other perspectives. But I think we need to see it more. And especially the thing with like In the Heights and Encanto is like those are very Crazy Rich Asians, especially like those are movies that are, it's not very subtle. That like the whole theme is like of those movies, maybe not Encanto, but the whole themes of like a lot of those movies are we want to be included and like this is our story. Whereas this could have been played by an all white cast and it would have been the exact same movie. Like, and I mean, not exact. It would have been a very similar movie. Like it didn't need to be Asian, but like the fact that it was, and they're able to take more Asian inspirations and like
still have it be relatable,
really turn into what is like, this is like what we need more of is we need more of just, we don't need an all Asian cast to tell a story about like being crazy rich Asians. Like,
right.
I mean, that's an amazing movie and I appreciate everything it's done. And I'm not harping on it. I think it's an incredible movie. But I don't think that we need to make a million of those just to have an all Asian cast. Is what I'm trying to say. And I think this is a really good step in like the right direction towards why can't we just have a story about an Asian family and it not just be them being Asian doesn't necessarily matter in the grand scheme of things, if that makes any sense.
No, that makes sense.
Okay.
That makes sense.
So, so I think that's, one of the things that is a bit of a turnoff.
Did Parasite have any issues with that? Because that was also one of those movies that was a little hard to, it wasn't as accessible as in like every theater.
I mean, I think that's another great example. Like, I mean, I think Parasite had a lot more success because it won Best Picture. And that's kind of why it was put into more theaters and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. And that was 2019. So I don't know, like, I can't speak very confidently on everything, but yeah, I would assume it was a very similar thing to where some people saw it, especially with Parasite because it's a Korean film and it's all in Korean. Like,
I had no English in it. That was all
subtitles. Like I know a lot of people who I would say Parasite is incredible. You need to watch this movie. They'd say, "Oh, but it's all subtitles. I don't want to sit there and read." And it's like,
that I don't
seriously, like
I can't sit down and read a book to save my life. If you ask me to, I wouldn't. I can't. I just don't do that. But yeah, you can put me in front of a movie. I'll read a whole movie.
I mean, I use subtitles for everything. Just because there's some stuff in there that like you just don't notice. Like, no, I was even telling you before. Like, I feel like if I didn't watch this movies with subtitles the first time, I would have thought that his name was Raymond, and it's
with
Waymond.
Accent, but it's literally Waymond. It's got W. Yeah.
Well, like it got confusing. They would say like Waymond and like Rakakuni, like, but they couldn't say the R very. Like
Rakakuni.
Like very like straight. Also, can we talk about just how brilliant that reference was? A Pixar reference was the last thing I was expecting.
Someone would have had gone home one night. Their kid was watching Ratatouille, and they were like, "Okay."
But also, that is the perfect analogy for what this movie is.
Oh my god!
Like,
yeah.
Like like
someone
her family's just like, wait, like there's a raccoon Wayman, and she's like, yeah, pretty much. Like, like that was. So, and like these movies are totally different. Like there's nothing in comparison. And then like, another way that they just leaned into everything and they just made it like a joke throughout the whole thing. Like where there's a universe where, there is a Rakakuni.
Yeah. They didn't hesitate with anything. They someone had an idea. And I feel like it was one of those things where it was just like people like wrote down like anonymous ideas, put it in a jar, and they pulled it out. Okay, yep, that's our next scene. Put that down, write it out. What's the next one? Yep, makes sense. It doesn't make sense. Like
maybe to a point, but like this movie is so crazy and so out there that like it's very clear to me that this had the fact that it makes sense and that it's good tells me that there's
so much work and thought.
This was a very clear, creative vision in mind from Daniels, and they managed to pull it off. Like,
which that to me blows my mind because that just like there's someone out there just thinking like this 24/7.
Guys thought about this.
Yeah, how?
Yeah.
I watched it. I can't think. They ruined my brain. Like, I'm like, that's how I understand. Like, how could you live with that running through your mind 24/7 for easily a few years, filming, editing, going through all this, writing that out, planning each and every little thing and little subtle reference. I mean, dude,
yeah. I mean, this movie is crazy. And, you know, I think a lot of investors, I don't know. I really want to dive into this more and like figure out, you know, what like from the behind the scenes, like getting this movie made. Like, I really want to like figure out like what was going on, because I have a feeling that they had a lot of trouble like financing this film, and just like getting support for it. Again, for all the reasons I said before, like it's not a very accessible film. It has a very confused the log line for this. I can't even come up with it. Like, it's a very confusing premise that I think they made very clear, very like simple, but it's a hard pitch.
Definitely.
They don't have any major actors. Like, I don't know, like,
I feel like Jamie Lee Curtis is going to be your biggest known.
I mean, Michelle Yeoh is also pretty big, but like she kind of disappeared for a little bit. Like, they have big names, but like it's not The Rock. It's not Robert Downey Jr. It's not, you know, whoever. Like, these aren't your typical like
actors,
top tier
studios,
Hollywood actors, because they're Asian, unfortunately. But like, this is a really hard sell, and one of the reasons I think that they struggled was because two of the producers were Mark and Anthony Russo, independently. So they both, as individuals, decided to invest and produce this movie. And the thing that's interesting about that is they have their own production company that invests and produces movies.
Right.
So,
but that company did not invest or produce in this movie.
Yeah, Agbo did not produce this movie. So I don't know. It's very possible that they started doing this before Agbo was a thing.
So they just kept their names on it and not.
Yeah, because I mean, Agbo is relatively new. It's only been around for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's very it's possible that was, you know, the reason behind it. But part of me does wonder, like, this is such a hard sell. Like, were investors and producers concerned with how well this was going to do in the box office? Because again, like, they were shooting pre-pandemic, so like when they're investing, like, this wasn't with pandemic thought process in mind. So I feel like even when you have a lot of what I'm assuming were a lot of investors that don't believe in the film, like, everything about this was destined to fail. And it kind of reminds me of like Denis Villeneuve and Dune. Like, that movie should have failed. Like, investors thought it would fail. Like, they didn't have faith in a 2-part movie. And I think this kind of just, you know, this is a bit off topic, but like, I think it kind of proves my point that like, we need more movies like this. We need more creators given the freedom to do whatever the hell they want, because they can create some incredible things when you just let them live out their vision. Like, Dune is getting 3 movies now and a spin-off TV show. Yeah. They were given the budget for 1 movie, and Denis Villeneuve said, okay, fine, I'm going to make this the best movie I've ever made, so you have to give me a second part. Like, he could have given that an ending, but no, he ended the movie halfway through the story without a very... it isn't an ending. It's the beginning of
2 other parts.
Like, it's the beginning of the second act. Like,
which is crazy.
Like, if you give people the freedom to do what they want, we get incredible pieces of art. It's like this, like I was saying earlier, like, this is has a lot of very important themes in it that I think people need to see.
Sure.
And also, it's a great time.
Right.
Like, this was the second time I saw it, and I was laughing. I was laughing so hard, I was crying. That, like, it was so funny, and like, the action was just so. The choreography was just gripping, and I think this. Look, we're both major MCU nerds
for sure,
but this is one of those times where I think I'm gonna have to like harp on Marvel, because at the end of the day, every Marvel movie is the exact same. They have slight variations on the theme.
I think that's the same formula when they.
It is the exact same formula. Like, I remember I remember.
So
I mean, it works. I mean, yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But like, I remember talking to my dad about No Way Home because I saw it before him, and I was like, the third act fight scene was just incredible. And my mom was like, "Whoa, like spoiler, like now it's the third act fight scene." She meant it jokingly, but me and my dad were both like,
"That's in every movie."
Yeah, like my mom didn't watch Marvel movies, and like we were both just like, "No, like that's just how these movies work." Every Marvel movie has some sort of vehicle like chase scene.
Right.
Typically, it's cars. Sometimes it's a helicopter or whatever.
Right.
Like, there's always Captain America. He has to lose his shield because it's boring if he has a shield every time. Iron Man's suit has to break down. Like, every Marvel movie is the exact same, and they follow a formula. And like, you know, we're still in the process of seeing Moon Knight, and Moon Knight is a very different Marvel movie or Marvel show. But
Definitely.
like, if you look at all the Marvel shows, like, and WandaVision is my number one example. That show fell apart because they weren't given the freedom to do what they wanted to do. And I think we even talked about this on the podcast before, like, because I'm super passionate about this. Like, I want to love WandaVision, but I can't because the ending was just so terrible. Like, it should have just been what it was pitched to be, and like what the first several episodes were, where it's Wanda living this fever dream by using like by making like old like decade era style sitcoms like episodes. Like, that was brilliant, and I loved every second of it. Like, it was silly and it was goofy and it was like a celebration of television. And at the end, they're like, "But wait, this is a Marvel show, and there aren't any action sequences." Or like, "Oh, we need to introduce Monica Rambeau. Let's have her jump through this thing where she can go in and she does literally nothing. There's a whole like subplot about how she's like getting into the force field, and then she just stands around and she goes and she saves these two kids who did not need saving. Like, they had magic and speed powers. Like,
literally can do.
She didn't do anything. Like, she did not need to be in that show. But oh wait, it's a Marvel show. We have to introduce her somehow. Like, if we just let people do what
the original plan or what they want to do,
if we just let them live out their creative visions, they can make some really cool stuff
for sure.
And I'm worried that, like, you know, as a society, like, Marvel can make literally anything. Like, and I will go watch it.
Yeah.
Like, I have zero interest in some stuff, and I will watch it regardless.
That's fair.
Like, just because it's a Marvel movie or a Marvel show.
Right.
And I think a lot of people are like that. Like, some of my close friends, like, they aren't big movie people, but like, they go to Marvel premieres just because they enjoy Marvel movies. And this is not one of those movies. Like, I can go around and tell every person this is the best movie I've ever seen.
They're not going to go see it.
They aren't going to care.
Right.
And I think that's super unfortunate.
It really is.
I
think this is one of those movies, and because kind of like what we mentioned on the last podcast with kind of like streaming theater released. If this was one of those that had the potential to go not necessarily straight to streaming, but if it was on a streaming platform like right now, I think this type of movie would do better.
Do you?
Not necessarily do better, but it would just help it get out a little more, because I feel like people, even though in the end, whether you're paying for a subscription or you're paying for the premium access or whatever it is, like, you're still going to pay the same amount as going to a theater. But I feel like a lot of people see it, they're like less at risk of like wasting the time to go see a movie if they just watch it at home, because they could just stop if it's bad. I mean, you could get up and leave if it's bad.
I agree to an extent. I think for some people, yes. I think streaming is going to help this movie reach a wider audience.
For sure.
I think the problem with streaming, though, is a lot of people have the habit of turning something on and scrolling through Facebook or playing a game or doing their homework, and
it's just background noise.
Yeah, and they think that they know what's going on, but like this, like you said at the beginning, this is something where you can't get up and go to the bathroom.
That's true. That's true.
Again, with it being inaccessible, like, while Daniels did a brilliant job at making this simple, they made this very, very complex thing as simple as they possibly could.
Right.
And it worked really well, but like, you have to watch it and you have to experience it. Like, this is an experience.
Right.
Like we were saying, like, I felt anxious when Evelyn felt anxious. Like, this is an experience. And I feel like, sure, maybe streaming will help it reach a wider audience, more people will see it.
Right.
But I don't know if they're going to experience it and be able to appreciate it the way that it's meant to.
That's fair. That's fair.
There's one review on Letterboxd. It's one of the top ones I've seen where it was like, this is one of those movies where you need to see it now before Twitter says that like it's overrated.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I was like, I
totally
like,
understand that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a very accurate prediction. I think that this is going to be one of those movies where 6 months from now, people are going to say, seriously, this isn't that good.
Yeah.
Or like people are going to say, it's literally just The Matrix. Because I mean, the first half kind of is, but like
they even had the slow-mo bullet trails there for a second too.
Yes.
And I was like, oh.
And I mean, to be honest, like I was okay with it though, because this was very much like an homage, like to that, like The Matrix was like an homage to like,
for sure,
like Kung Fu and like those like Jackie Chan like movies and stuff. And like this was also like an homage to like those and also The Matrix. So I was okay with it. You know,
did
being
feel like
a
a rip
very
off. Didn't
obvious.
feel like it needed to. Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I really hope that we get more stuff like this.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to see like what Daniels does next. Like,
definitely. This is one of those directors where I could see, because I mean, like it kind of like alongside you see a Marvel movie, if it's got like the Russos or it's got like a big name on it, you know their style, you know what you're excited to see what they've done next. This is one of those. If I see a movie that could be totally a whole new original, just like this is not tied to anything. This is just a movie and it's great.
There's no post-credit scene.
Yeah, no post-credit scene. That's the first time I haven't sat through all those lines, waited for that like Georgia Peach to show up, and then we got our little credit scene. But yeah. But no, it was first time I left the theater before people. That was weird. Yeah. But no, I'm excited to see what Daniels did, what they do next, and
yeah. So just to close out, do you have any other final thoughts?
I don't. I mean, besides just kind of like, just shamelessly, like, dude, like, go see it. Like, if you get the chance, if you've got
in a theater,
2 hours in a theater, yes,
with people preferably,
for
like,
sure.
Maybe not like people with you, but like other people like in the audience. Because like
if it's an empty theater, go ask for a refund and just go. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. But like, definitely try and go see it before it's out of the theaters. The theater experience will make it so much better. And it's a movie everyone should see if they can, if they get a chance to, for sure.
No, yeah, I 100% agree. Everyone should go see this movie. It's brilliant. It's got literally everything, everywhere, all at once. It's a like, I don't know. I want to say it was like a cheesy thing to say, but like it's
true to its name.
It is true. It is a perfect name. This has been the Popcorn Hangover. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you follow us on all the things, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We've put on a lot of fun reels and clips, even things that are getting cut out of the full episode. So
that's true.
Make sure you're tuning in and check those out. And you can follow the both of us on Instagram and Twitter as well. Until next time, we'll see you then.